The Los Angeles Clippers have to be the most underrated team in the league, and they deserve their props because before this season, ESPN had them 20th in the league. All of a sudden, they're tied for 5th place in the Western Conference, and they're looking like real contenders, especially if Kawhi can develop some consistency of staying on the court. But overall, their biggest and most underrated addition was to the coaching staff, Jeff Van Gundy. Tyronn Lue has praised him for their defensive turnaround. You go to last season, the Clippers were 16th in defensive rating, and all of a sudden, they are second with 107.2 defensive rating, only trailing the Oklahoma City Thunder. Adding the mind of Jeff Van Gundy and also adding free agents like Derrick Jones Jr. and Chris Dunn has really bolstered their defense. Recently, they played the Boston Celtics. 10 turnovers for Tatum and Brown combined. Also, they shot 17 of 37 from the field. And then LeBron James and Anthony Davis, 8 turnovers combined and shot 14 of 34 from the floor. And the reason the Clippers were able to stay afloat, even without a talent such as Kawhi Leonard, is because their starting 5 is one of the best in the league. So 257 minutes played for James Harden, Norman Powell, Chris Dunn, Derrick Jones Jr., and of course, Big Zoo. 112.5 offensive rating, 102.4 defensive rating. That's a 10.1 net rating. So you go to NBA.com and you filter lineups over 200 minutes and then filter the best net rating. The Clippers starting 5 without Kawhi is a top 5 lineup. And to be exact, they have the 4th best net rating among teams 5-man lineups over 200 minutes. That is incredible production. And look at the rest of the groups. You got OKC, Boston, Indiana, and Denver, all great teams. And what do you know? The Clippers are averaging 20.3 points off turnovers, a big foundation of their success. The only team that's ahead of them is the Oklahoma City Thunder with 23.4. But now let's move on to the quote-unquote big 3 of this team that has really been the engine of their success, aka James Harden, Norman Powell, and the big man, Zoo. I want to start out with the big man because he's probably the Clippers' most important piece. He's not necessarily their best player, but when he's on the court, the Clippers are such a better team, and he really keeps everything organized defensively and also adds an element offensively as a roller and screener and things of that nature. So it turns out his on and off splits are ridiculous. Per 100 possession, he's a plus 9.7. That's better than both James Harden and Norman Powell. He's also probably the most underrated defender in the league. He is the rim protector of this second-ranked defense. He deserves a ton of credit for that. He deserves to make an all-defensive team, in my opinion. And then, of course, pairing him with James Harden has made his life a lot easier offensively because Harden is going to feed him in the pick and roll and things like that. So 14.9 points per game, that's a career high. 12.5 rebounds per game, that's a career high. That's top in the league. 2.5 assists per game, that's a career high. He's having an unreal season, 61% from the field. And man, oh man, he arguably has the best hook shot in all of the NBA. A lost art, but he's keeping it alive. So he has taken 180 hook shots on the year. That's pretty good volume. And he's shooting 57.2% on hook shots. And you could tell getting Zoo in his spots was a point of emphasis for the Clippers during this season because last year he shot less hook shots. Already, he shot more. 145 last year over the whole season. He's already shot 180. And last year, he shot 62%. So they probably looked at that and were like, we got to get him more opportunities. Now let's go to the pure scorer of the team, Norman Powell. I mean, at age 31, he's having a career year. He's having arguably an all-star season as well. 23.9 points per game, 49% from the field. 8 3-pointers attempted per game, shooting 43% from 3. That's ridiculous. Also, he's super clutch. I really trust him in clutch moments, but I'm here on NBA.com. I filtered field goal percentage over 45%, 3-point percentage over 40%, points over 20 points per game. And you got Nikola Jokic, Karl Anthony Towns, Kyrie Irving, Zach LaVine, Tyler Hero, Norman Powell, Darius Garland, Sabonis, Siakam, and Vucevic. Those are the only players that qualified for what I filtered. To put it simply, he's one of the best scorers in the league. And then, of course, we go to James Harden, who is the architect of the offense, the system, dare I say. 21.7 points per game. He isn't doing it efficiently, but his most important asset is getting others involved. 8.3 assists per game, which is 6th in the NBA. Now, the craziest thing about James Harden this season is he has the argument for being the best isolation scorer in the NBA. In the ISO situation, 1.09 points per possession, 87.6 percentile. That is more points per possession than Shea, Jason Tatum, Anthony Edwards. How old is this dude again? I mean, that is just outrageous stuff. And now let's go to the Kawhi Leonard effect. So in January, he has played in 7 games. The Los Angeles Clippers are 6-1 in those games. Now let's go to some lineup data. 63 minutes played between the lineup of James Harden, Norman Powell, Kawhi Leonard, Derrick Jones Jr., and Big Zoo. 133.6 offensive rating, 87.1 defensive rating, 46.5 net rating. Clearly, that is the Kawhi Leonard effect, but you're adding him to a lineup that was already having success. And obviously, the sample size is super small, so you can't really take it too serious. But my one criticism of the Clippers throughout the year, like before Kawhi Leonard came back, is their offense isn't good enough, in my opinion. They don't have enough shooting and things of that nature. They obviously have enough defensively, but seeing Kawhi, I feel like he brings enough offensively because he's a system within himself. So if they get a healthy Kawhi, which is a big if, they have enough offensively, and we know what they are defensively, and that equals a legit title contender. The Clippers are a scary team if Kawhi can get some miracles from the basketball gods. They truly can beat anyone with Kawhi on the court. And honestly, even without him on the court, they're going to be a tough out because they're going to be very annoying defensively. It's going to be very interesting to see how the rest of the season goes for the LA Clippers because they actually have the 8th toughest schedule in the league. So they could either sink or they could really swim. Let me know your thoughts below. Do you believe they will have a great second half of the season? Do you think Kawhi can somehow stay healthy?